Hello and happy Star Wars Day, you fucking nerds! Well, last year I went all out and it took me 3 months, but I reviewed every single goddamn Star Wars movie that ever existed. So this year I thought I would sit down and risk my entire life by ranking the bastards. And not just the trilogies, all 15 of the fuckers. Yeah, I'm feeling dangerous. Are you ready to be angry? Number 50, the Star Wars Holiday Special. You had to have seen this coming. As much as I'd like to put certain other films at the bottom, I can't realistically do that. Some enjoy the animated sequence in this film and the bar scene, but honestly I hate them just as much as the rest of the fucking thing. The movie is an unwatchable mess that was filmed and edited on a damn potato, and I personally blame George Lucas for its very existence. Burn it and never look back. Number 14, the Caravan of Courage. My god, these ones are bad. If I'm honest, the only reason Caravan of Courage is lower than the other Ewok film is because this one has 2 annoying kids who can't act, and the other one at least learned enough to have just the one, so I might as well lump them both in together by saying Number 13, The Battle for Endor. Both of these are much like the Holiday Special in the sense that they're not even competently filmed. As bad as some of the other movies are, at least they're movies. Would you ever suspect that these were made by the same company who produced the later films on this list? They are unnecessary jokes that were used to cash in on the merchandise, and they are painfully boring with terrible acting. There is almost no redeeming qualities to either of them. Number 12. Clone Wars. Speaking of filmmaking incompetence, was this animated by Stevie Wonder on cocaine? The animation is disgusting and the voice acting is some of the worst I have ever heard. The plot is about Jabba the Hutt's baby, for crying out loud. I mean, at least from what I've heard, it spawned a much better TV series, but as far as the movie goes, just watch something on Cartoon Network, you'll be better off. Is Cartoon Network still a thing? Number 11, Solo. Back to the unnecessary movies now, with such a weak spin-off that nobody asked for. The cinematography is ugly, the story is weak, the Easter eggs are so forced that really nobody needed them, and the lead performance is drier than my mum's snatch, and she's just turned 70. I guess it's competently made in the sense that the production looks good quality, but the cinematography is arse, and it's just as boring as every other installment thus far. Number 10, Attack of the Clones. We're now reaching the films that have some redeeming qualities but are still dog bollocks. Some acting performances are solid and the Colosseum scene is insane, but this movie is such a chore to sit through. It's painfully dull and has the worst green screens ever found in the scrap heap. Hayden Christensen is fine, but his lines were written by a robotic virgin who's never spoken to a woman before, which is a real shame.
Grown more beautiful, I mean.
The dialogue is terrible, the love story is so fucking toxic. I mean, he admits to slaughtering children and she's charmed by it. The movie makes me so angry, but then I'm too bored to give a shit not long after. It's a drag. Skip it. Number 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I know that so many of you were wishing that this would be dead last, and maybe you were beginning to sweat that it'd be higher, but now I got you. This movie sucks. The reason it's higher is because I'd rather be annoyed than bored. The worst thing a movie can be is boring, and fuck me! Every other film before this is boring as shit, but I didn't get bored with Rise of Skywalker. The story makes no sense, and the action is all the shit we've seen over and over again, so there's no creativity, relying solely on nostalgia, but there are some action scenes that I do enjoy and think are somewhat fun, mostly involving Kylo Ren. The changing of directors is obvious, and while its predecessor was a mess, this one said, "Hold my beer," and made it an even bigger fucking mess. While other movies yet to be mentioned waste a bit of time in the plot, this one upfront acknowledges that they waste a fucking hour and a half of our precious time, and they don't care.
I don't have the Wayfinder. I destroyed Ren's ship.
You have everything you need.
They can go and fuck themselves. Number 8, The Last Jedi. Speaking of wasting time, this one only wasted half an hour with the casino scene, so it's marginally better. To be fair, I do enjoy some of the stuff with Luke and Rey on the island, but everyone else is just kind of there. They're just filling time until the plot needs them. All the acting performances are great, and I must say, Luke's scene with Kylo at the end is kick-ass. It did manage to tweak some things that The Force Awakens needed help with, but they'd only get immediately tweaked back. It has its moments, but it's still a mess, and it definitely didn't live up to the Star Wars name. Number 7, Rogue One. We've now reached the films that I think are only average. Not bad, not great. Yeah, this one didn't really do it for me. It's another pointless addition to try to explain a plot hole, and that's it. The acting is fine and the action is alright, but honestly I forget everything that happened in this film a week after I've seen it. It's okay, just nothing to write home about, even though I'm literally at home writing about it. Number 6, The Force Awakens. Talk about a trilogy that had potential. I get why this film played it safe and just repeated A New Hope story. For the most part, it worked. It's a legacy sequel and it did spawn a fuckload more bringing the old cast back, and I respect it for what it is. It's harmless. I love the Finn stuff, which would unfortunately be completely destroyed by the sequels, and Rey is too perfect in this one, but it is fun to see Han and the others come back. It just didn't hit the ball out of the park as much as the other films on this list. Number 5. The Phantom Menace. I really don't think this one deserves the hate it gets. It's still only average, but the pod racing scene is amazing, Liam Neeson is a lot of fun, and Darth Maul is a truly menacing villain. I've only placed it higher than The Force Awakens because it tries its own thing and doesn't feel the need to repeat another story that's already been done. I think Jake Lloyd actually did a good job for his age, but the dialogue still holds it back.
Are you an angel?
Regardless, it's still an alright film. Sometimes it's pretty good. Number 4. A New Hope. We're now in the movies I do really like, but with A New Hope, it's the one I tend to revisit the least. I enjoy it and I love the charm for it being where it all started, but I get the feeling this was them just getting their footing with the series. Which is to be expected, nobody actually believed it would become the sensation that it did. Don't get me wrong, it's a great film, it just didn't get the same reaction from me as the sequels did. Number 3. Revenge of the Sith. We are now in the top 3 and I fucking adore this movie. I even believe it should be in the 1001. It's the perfect culmination of the birth of Darth Vader. It's shot amazingly, the fights are perfect, the emotion is heightened, the music is on point. The only thing I can really criticize is, big surprise, the dialogue!
Love won't save you, Padme. Only my new powers can do that.
Despite how poorly received the prequels were, they are some of the most quotable movies of all time. Revenge of the Sith is an incredible movie and in my opinion definitely worthy of the top 3. Number 2. The Empire Strikes Back. I love both of these last films. This movie is incredible, it has one of the most famous plot twists of all time, the cinematography is astounding, the acting is incredible, the action is insane, the incest is arousing. Wait, what? It's just a near perfect film, if it wasn't for Han harassing Leia after she's already turned him down several times. Take a hint, dude. And number 1, Return of the Jedi. The reason I place this higher than Empire is because I feel like the saber duel at the end just means so much more this time around. The one in Empire was incredible, no doubt, but here Luke knows that Vader is his father and that Leia is his sister, so the stakes have all risen. The emotion is higher, it just means more. None of the movie drags for me. I've heard some say the opening was too long. But that wasn't really the case for me. I wasn't bored at any moment, and although the film does depict a mass murderer as being sympathetic for doing one good deed at the end, and then Anakin as a ghost Jedi despite being a killer, bit rude, and to edit out the OG Vader, but I love the big celebration with the Ewoks at the end. It's all around a great end to a great trilogy. And like I say, this is all my opinion at... Come on!